This version of Marco Rubio would have definitely been killed by this version of Marco Rubio. On this side, you have a skinny kid living in Miami, Florida, with his sister Barbara and her then boyfriend Orlando in their home. On this side, you have a man who's 54 years old. He's the Secretary of State for Donald Trump, and he's been defending the killing of over 80 fishermen without going through the judicial process, and also yanking visas from international students for doing something simple as just exercising their First Amendment right, which everyone has, to protest against the Israeli government and in defense of the Palestinian people. Listen up for story time how these two versions of Marco Rubio collide. 1987, the United States government ran a huge sting operation inside Miami to bust up a $75 million drug ring called Operation Cobra. One of the defendants was this guy, Orlando Cecilia. He was the boyfriend at the time of Marco Rubio's sister, Barbara. Big drug kingpin, this guy. At the time, Marco Rubio, in this picture, he's 11. He was 14 years old. He was living at the home with Barbara and Orlando. Into this article in Univision News, it was in mid-80s. Rubio spent a month living in the house where the major drug ring stored kilos of cocaine in a spare bedroom, packaged the drugs in cigarette cases for distribution to dealers. This is the house where Marco Rubio was living in, right? So what happened was, in 1987, Cecilia was arrested in the federal sting operation, Operation Cobra, and he was sentenced to 35 years in jail. He was released in 2000, but he was arrested, convicted, went to jail, and lived to tell about it. While that arrest might have caused embarrassment to Marco Rubio later on as he rose in the political circles in Florida, and they tried to use it against him when he was running for Senate, it doesn't matter. The fact is that he was a teenager at the time, and this had to do with his family, and he just didn't know, right? Still, fresh questions emerged. People wanted to know, what did he know about it, right? Called it Marco Rubio's Miami Vice problem back in 2015. You can imagine that was traumatizing for young Marco Rubio to experience that, being that close to that arrest, that raid, knowing the impact of the war on drugs on you can really impact your life. This tells you Marco knows personally the impact of you having a family member just involved in something, the trauma that happens, but the importance of second chances, the importance of nuance. He should know that, right? Now, you think somebody like that would believe in second chances and believe in the people having the right to have a hearing? Nope. He's over here defending 80 people suspected of being drug cartel members. Some folks have already said these are fishermen. The president of Pietro had already said it's not. It's fishermen. It's just people trying to live their lives. But they didn't get a chance. The way Marco Rubio's brother-in-law, Orlando Cecilia, got a chance to defend himself, go to jail, come out, and make something more of his life. Marco Rubio's defending that. Something that international organizations have said these both crimes right here that he's involved with is horrible. Let's listen to Marco Rubio himself defend the unilateral killing of people who are suspected of bringing drugs into the United States. Listen to it.
I mean, the question is, bottom line, these are drug boats. If people want to stop seeing drug boats blow up, stop sending drugs to the United States.
But does it matter if it's in the United States?
Well, these are all in international waters. The boat.
Do a strike in the United States, or if we're in the.
Well, that's a different matter. Now you're talking about a law enforcement matter. In this particular case, there are people traveling on international waters headed towards the United States with hostilities in mind, which includes flooding our country with dangerous, deadly drugs. And they're going to be stopped. Cocaine or fentanyl or whatever headed to the United States, you're an immediate threat to the United States. And the president, under his authority as commander-in-chief, has a right, under exigent circumstances, to eliminate. The United States has long, for many, many years, established intelligence that allow us to interdict and stop drug boats. And we did that. And it doesn't work. Interdiction doesn't work because these drug cartels, what they do is they know they're going to lose, 2% of their cargo. They bake it into their economics. What will stop them is when you blow them up.
If that doctrine existed back when Marco Rubio was in that home and they would have just bombed his house, what would have happened to Marco? He wouldn't be here today now, would he? Not just about not giving narc boats a chance to defend themselves. How about Marco Rubio was active in this policy called Catch and Revoke, where they went through and searched through using AI to identify people who are here on student visas to find any instance of them having gotten involved with the law and using that as a basis for revoking their visa, if not for doing something simple as protesting. Like, that's crazy. That's what's challenged. But here's the thing. He does believe in second chances. Why? Marco Rubio helped his brother-in-law, that same cocaine trafficker brother-in-law, get a real estate license. He also didn't tell the committee, because at the time he was a esteemed member of, I think, the Florida state legislature. He didn't tell them that he was his brother-in-law, which has been crucial for that. He let this guy get a second chance, while also right now giving international students, targeting them for protesting. Immigration's expert says the authority to revoke came from like a 1952 version of the Immigration and Nationality Act that says the Secretary of State has the right to revoke student visas. Now, imagine a world where we're allowed to use proximity and speech to ruin someone's life. Marco Rubio was proximate to his brother-in-law, and speech allowed to ruin someone's life. Kid living in the drug house where cocaine packages were stored in the room next door to where he slept. Student who reposts a popular meme related to rights to the children in Gaza. Cousins sleeping in the back room when a raid occurs. Under Marco Rubio's current policy, those people aren't entitled to the humanity of and dignity of mistakes or just being close to those people. Comes to his own family, Marco Rubio understands that the kid who lives in the same home as a drug kingpin isn't a drug kingpin himself. He understands the importance of second chances when it comes to his own family. When it comes to nameless Venezuelans on a boat, whether they're freshmen or not, when it comes to international student just here in the United States trying to get a degree, he doesn't understand all of a sudden. No trial, no second chance, just bombs and a revoked visa. Rhetoric he was spinning in that video would not afford the version of Marco Rubio, who's 17-year-olds, the chance of redemption. It would just be looked as collateral damage to a war on drugs. In the world, the only difference between a good Cuban-American senator and a suspicious brown guy on a boat is who is in power and whose story gets told and who gets granted the humanity. Check that. Anyway, that was just an interesting story. I wanted to bring that to you because every time I see Marco Rubio, little Marco, sometimes people feel sorry for him because he looks like, what did I get myself into? He wanted power so much. You best believe a lot of the policy, the going on, the bombings, the boats, every single thing in terms of invading Nigeria, going after Mexico, these things, he's at the helm of some of them. Because one thing I heard or I read said that when Marco Rubio became Secretary of State, it was an opportunity for the United States to expand their foreign diplomacy finally into the South America, into the Latin America region. So a lot of this is Marco Rubio's like ambitious movement, but you're doing it with a regime that is lawless. There was a report that says there's attorneys that told them what you're doing might violate the law. There's a couple attorneys and they fired them. And that's what happened when Tulsi Gabbard was told that by a couple of lawyers that the Donald Trump relying on the Alien Enemies Act as a means of just summarily deporting Venezuelans was like maybe not lawful. They fired those folks. So they fired people who truth tellers. So Marco Rubio, who infamously, before Donald Trump became office, said Donald Trump was a grifter. He said he was tearing apart. He said he's divisive. Donald Trump said horrible things about Marco Rubio and his family. But people are willing to set aside that stuff for their own ambition. At what cost? And it's also hypocritical. So I'm just glad to bring this story to you so more people know. Each one teach one. My name is JJ Legal. I'm in the dockets. So if you want to follow someone who's interested in sharing with you, opening up your eyes, letting you know to extent to which beyond the headlines and also beyond the hypocrisy. I'm having a series here called I Do Beyond the Headlines, but I'm also sharing you about the grift, about the hypocrisy, just all law things related to this administration. Each one teach one is my motto. You can get my sweatshirt, Each One Teach One, at my store on the shelf if you're watching this on YouTube or JJ Legal. I also have a case tracker that's half off right now. You're watching this during November Christmas season 2025, which is just $3.98. I have legal documents that are half off as well. They're originally $97. They're half off for those from mixed status families. or full status families or not mixed status, and also content creator legals. So yeah, you get my merch, you can get my template. I have Know Your Rights cards that are free. I have scripts to help you save someone's life. If you see someone being brutalized or see someone being unlawfully detained, some of these things you might say might save someone's life. So I hope you get those if you want to. Change Legal, Each One Teach One. If you watch this on YouTube, I'm going to put a link up here below to playlist, so watch more. Thanks.